Hi, my name is Dwayne Squires.
My name is Richard Muse.
And in this video, we're going to share the risks of actually investing in property within the Northeast if you don't know what you're doing. So Richard.
Yes, and there's a massive amount of investment going on in the Northeast at the moment, and that's one of the things you've got to think about is the bigger picture, what's happening in the area. And first of all, we've got to start off with Durham City, the Milburn Gate. Now, that has got about £120 million investment. What's happened is they've demolished all the old National Savings buildings, and that's going to be replaced by hotel and commercial and some residential flats above, but it's transforming the riverside in Durham, and that's massive. And they've just completed another one on the other side of the bridge. So that, and there's a lot more going on in Durham. Actually, the council is going to move the offices into the city centre. So a lot going on. The second place is Darlington. Very interesting. A massive Amazon warehouse has just gone up there. Cost of £120 million. It's just ready to open, I think, in January 2020, and it's just been in the papers. It's going to create 1,000 new jobs. That's massive. So like I've said before, I'm always plugging Darlington, and that one is very good. The next one is Stockton-on-Tees, where we've had the new Hilton Hotel built there, and there's also work being done to do on the theatre. And there's massive redevelopment going on. The Stockton Council have borrowed a bit of money off the government, and they're doing massive regeneration and knocking down a lot of older type properties, a lot of new type going on. So massive regeneration in Stockton, and that's good. And finally, the other area that I really like, where there's massive investment, is Sunderland. They've put a new spire, what they call the Spire Bridge, over the River Wear. It's pretty near the Nissan plant, the car plant, and that has been completed. It hasn't taken them long. The second phase is they're going to do the dual carriageway right down to the port of Sunderland, so that goods can flow straight in. You know, transport links are better for in and out. The Vaux Brewery site, the old Vaux Brewery, that's going to be developed, commercial, residential. So there's lots of things going on behind the scenes. And that's what you've got to look at. What's going on? What's the big picture? What's happening in the north? What's the infrastructure? So they're just a few of what things that are happening at the moment.
Brilliant. So that gives you a really good overview of the amount of impact and opportunity the Northeast is creating, which is really driving an increase in investors as well as buyers to invest in the area. Now, if you're from the area or if you're an investor that lives outside the area, there's still risks that you need to consider. Do you want to share a few of those risks?
Yeah, there is risks. It's obviously down to me. It's down to the tenant types. So, you know, you've probably seen some of the programs on television with, you know, quite a few horror stories. As far as benefit tenants go, everybody thinks, oh, well, they're the worst. Well, it's not always that. There is some really good benefit tenants out there, but they can be higher risk. But you can mitigate those risks by having a good management team in place and doing the necessary checks before you take on a benefit tenant. And another reason for that is that obviously with a tenant type, you could have a loss of income, you could have more voids, and you could have possible damage. Or well, it's quite obvious that when you have one tenant leave, there is some work to be done on the property as far as decorating and maybe carpet cleaning. So there's a cost every time. And if these people move regular, then you know your cost's going to be higher and your income's going to be down. And the next one is location. Investors, landlords from outside the area, certainly first-time investors, need to know they're going to be investing in the right location. Now, this is very important. I actually had, I'm going to give you an example, had a gentleman that contacted me a few months ago, wanted to buy some properties through us, but decided to go out on his own. He was talking, oh yes, I'll buy properties off you, buy these. And he went off on his own. He took a trip up to the northeast, And then he phoned to tell me, oh, I've bought this property. And he says, I got advice, I was just driving around, and the taxi driver says, that's a very good area. Oh, I thought, well, taxi drivers become an expert on property. And I says, well, where is it? Now, I'm not going to tell you where it actually is, but it wasn't in a good area. It wasn't in a good street. So he said, oh, yes, I've got this cheap. I've just done it with the agent. It doesn't need much spending on it. So I thought, right, I'll just have a look online. And sure enough, I goes on the right move and had a look. And it was in one of the worst streets. and actually, I could tell straight away from the pictures, it wanted at least £5,000. So it didn't get a bargain. And that's just a little of an example of not knowing your location and going by the property in the wrong location. So that's very, very important. The next one is the local power team. That's very important as well. I've always said, and this is one of the big questions we get every time from investors, well, I live down in London or I live abroad. What happens if this goes wrong? Or this? What happens if I have a boiler breakdown or whatever? And that's why I say, well, look, it's important you have a power team in there. And by that I mean where you have a letting agent and maybe even a portfolio manager who can just pick the phone up and say, right, yeah, we've got a fault here, to the plumber, you can go in there tomorrow, and you don't have to worry, because really I think a lot of people have an armchair investment, an arm's length investment, so they want a peace of mind that know that if anything goes wrong, they've got a great team that they can rely on to solve any problems that may arise.
Brilliant, brilliant. So just to summarise, in North East, there's a lot of opportunity going on. There's a lot of investment in the infrastructure. There's new employers like Amazon coming in. There's infrastructure like bridges and transport, all being completed within the next few years. Now, like with any area, there are risks. And as we summarise, so you have to be aware of the tenant type, make sure you're doing the right due diligence and checks on the tenants that you're taking on. Location, maybe make sure you know which location you're investing in. Make sure you know the nuances from street to street, from city to city, as well as get the right power team around you. Without that, by doing it by yourself or without the right knowledge or contacts, you could go amiss. Thank you very much for watching our video. If you found it useful, please can you click the like button, as well as follow our YouTube channel by subscribing to it. That will then mean that when we release new videos in the future, you'll be notified of those.
Once you've liked and subscribed, why not watch other of our videos by clicking the thumbnail on the right-hand side? This will take you to more helpful videos for you to watch.